So it's really cool to be surrounded by people who really get you. I did seem to surround myself by female writers who are also raising small children, because that's a whole nother subset, a whole nother world where, our husbands don't quite even understand it, because it's not a normal job.
Karen White grew up being a voracious reader, and it was a natural step to turn her interest into writing. She's published 34 award-winning and best-selling novels, the latest of which is The Lady on Esplanade. Welcome back to Uncorking a Story, Karen.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you back here, Karen. Remind our listeners and myself, where does your story as an author begin?
Oh, gosh. Way back in the in the dark ages of the previous century, which you can say the 1900s, right? I was a voracious reader, and that's how I never planned to be a writer. Who wants to be a writer? It's really hard. My teachers would always say, Karen, you should be a writer. You're so creative. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. Why would I ever want to be a writer? I have absolutely no interest in doing this professionally. So, which is why I was a business major in college. And then fast forward, I'm married. I have two small children at home, and I read Diana Gabaldon's Outlander series. At the time, there's only 4 books were in the series, and I was completely obsessed, and I read them more than once at that point. And then I realized that I couldn't pick up another book to read because I was so spellbound by those books. I was still in Scotland with, Claire and Jamie. And so I thought, well, the only way to break this curse is to actually let me just sit down and start writing a book, maybe to sort of break this thing. And, I was positive I would get over it. If I'd even managed to write a page, maybe 2, I would get over it pretty quickly. And I didn't. I ended up, writing a page, and then I had 2 pages, and then I had a chapter, and then I had 2, and then I wrote a whole book. And I was thinking, okay, well, what do I do now? And I was part of an online community, and I found out about this. When CompuServe was popular, and there was a writers forum on CompuServe, and Diana Gabaldon was one of the the main people on there, and that's where I found out about this national contest, and she was going to be one of the finalist judges. And I thought, I'll be out $35 and the cost of postage. And for those of you who don't know what postage is, that's what you stamps, when you go to the post office and they weigh it and they tell you how much it's going to cost. So I sent it in just thinking, I've probably just wasted all this money, and that's not what happened. So I ended up winning the contest, and not only did I get a wonderful critique by Diana Gabaldon, because she was one of the finalist judges, but also an offer of representation by the finalist judge, who was a New York literary agent.
That is a wonderful story, and one that is somewhat unique. Doesn't really happen that way for many authors.
No, it does not. Not.
I just need to pause for a second, because you bring up CompuServe, and I just I'll show my age too. I was such a nerd as a kid. I had this computer at home, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad bought us this IBM PCXT, 2 5.25-inch floppy drives. Talking about fancy.
Oh, you had 2. Ours only had 1. That's pretty fancy.
2, because you could swap them out when you were formatting them. And no memory, no hard drive. There was no hard drive in this machine.
Didn't exist then. No.
And it was really just it was a box that I could write papers on and play some very basic games. So lo and behold, I'm watching TV and I see a commercial for this thing that blows my mind, and it's called CompuServe. And it's these people who are talking about being able to hook up their computer to this thing. I don't even know if they said the word internet. They probably said, interconnected computers. And they show somebody buying airline tickets.
Right.
And I'm 12 years old, 13, and I'm like,
you're George Jetson, you're in the future. Oh my gosh, yes.
I became obsessed. I needed to have this. I needed this capability. And then we didn't have a modem. The computer didn't come with a modem.
No, so you had to go buy a whole new thing. Yeah.
I went to Newmark and Lewis, which was the retail chain down the street. I found this guy who told me he would sell me a modem It was part of a kit, but somebody didn't need it, so he sold me this 2400 baud modem for like $48 or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I was going to go home and be Matthew Broderick in War Games. Like, that's exactly what I was going to do. Of course, I hook it up. We don't have CompuServe. I get a subscription to Prodigy. It was Prodigy, CompuServe, and AOL. Those were the three biggies.
See, we started with AOL. Yeah.
And, you plug it in, and it makes all those...
Yeah.
Those sounds. Sorry, listeners, for you hearing that. And then, of course, I got to tell my mom, hey, listen, don't pick up the phone to make a call because I'm going to be online. She's like, what are you doing in your room? I'm like, never you mind. But man, that took us down a rabbit hole of CompuServe.
I sure did, but my gosh, and for any of you people who are of a not of a certain age, go look it up. It was at the heyday of the dawning of the internet.
Yeah, it wasn't
that long ago, truly.
I mean, this is the late 80s, early 90s, because the GUI, so the Tim Berners-Lee didn't even invent the web until 93, if I have my history right.
Something like that, yeah.
And then it went, off the rails. Then it became the fastest growing consumer medium in history.
Yeah.
I knew this because I spent some time in interactive advertising in the early days.
Okay. Hey, I know how to program in DOS, so...
Well, there you go. There are lots of, slashes. Lots of slashes. I remember BASIC. I remember we started with
BASIC.
BASIC.
And Fortran.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't get that fancy.
Oh, okay. So I was in business school. We had to do all of that stuff, yeah.
Geez, fancy stuff. So the bug bit you. I mean, because I read 34. The number might even be larger now in terms
30, of. So The Lady on Esplanade will be my 37th novel.
37. Oh my gosh. Over how many years?
Well, my first book came out in 2000 when I was a teeny tiny baby.
Yeah. So 2000. So that's a lot. That's a prolific writing career. I mean, certainly more than one a year.
Yeah, and I because I'm such a slow writer, I don't know how that happened. And I even took some years, there were some years where I did not have a book. I think what the deal is that I just work all the time. I don't have like a set number of hours because I'm so slow. I have to write all day, every day, and when I say write, that's like staring up at the ceiling. That's like thinking, that's the whole process, so that I end up writing a lot at the end of the day. But I don't recommend this for anybody who's listening who wants to be a writer. Not recommended.
Do you feel it was harder or more challenging than sort of a business career?
I think when I started, it was on a level playing field. But now, with how the publishing world has really been turned inside out and upside down, I think business has pretty much stayed, the premises of the business world pretty much have stayed the same. Whereas the whole publishing industry, it's not even recognizable. I don't think I could have gotten published the way I got published, today. I just don't think it's possible. I would have to have a platform. I would have to have a podcast. I would have to have something to reach, I've been on the New York Times list multiple times, but I did that all before, I started doing that before all of this craziness started, where it's like, you need to, shake your moneymaker on TikTok, or have some kind of platform. It's like, no, I just want to be a writer. I don't want to be an entertainer on TikTok.
Well, writers, they have to be, I think they don't have to, but it helps to think of yourself as a small business owner because you are running a small
100%.
business, right? So you're creating a product. You're trying to find a market. You have to do your own marketing, all those things. But now you've got to be an influencer too, or not everybody, especially particularly those who've had success earlier. But now, to make it in publishing today, if you don't have a big following on the socials, if you're not good with the TikTok, as I say,
right,
it's very challenging. And if you look at who's getting deals, it's politicians, it's celebrities, and the big advances are going to those people, leaving the rest of us, mortal folk.
Right. Those of us who actually care about the book, about the story, about the writing, about the language, about the skill that it takes to write a book with some substance, that's not,
right.
Yeah,
you might tell ghost stories, but you don't have a ghost writer.
Exactly.
Like some of these people, which I think is a good segue into the lady on Esplanade. Karen, what can you share with us about your latest?
So this is the third book in a series. It's for those of you who might be familiar with the Trad Street series, which is 7 books, very beloved. I didn't expect those to be beloved. I just wrote the first book sort of on a whim, and it just took off. It was only supposed to be 2 books, and people kept on clamoring for more. So that was 7 books in. And when I wrote the 7th book, I was thinking, okay, you know what? It's time to let these people live their happily ever after. So I took a very beloved secondary character, Nola Trenum, from that series, and I gave her her own series, and I moved her from Charleston to New Orleans. And I did that because she is a recovering alcoholic. And she inherited the demons from both her mother and her father. And she's moving to New Orleans because she's one stubborn girl who has to prove to herself that she can do the hardest thing. And she doesn't need anybody's help to do it. So that's our Nola. But of course, inside she is Jello. And she does not have the ability to see or talk to dead people. However, her nemesis / business partner, Beau, does. And in this book, he is still grappling with what he perceives as the abandonment of both of his parents around the time of Hurricane Katrina when he was younger. And the ghost of his mother keeps trying to appear to him and tell him something, but he refuses to listen. And of course, that opens this wonderful Pandora's box into what really happened to his mother, and somebody had better listen soon because there are unsavory characters who don't want him to find out. And then, of course, we have Beau and Nola, who are starting a business venture together, which is murder house flipping. And a murder house is a house where there is a murder or some unsavory something. So they buy an old house on Esplanade to fix it up and to sell it. But of course, there are characters, restless spirits who aren't really ready to relinquish their hold on the house. So I think that brings us up. And of course, there's a whole cast of characters. Her best friend, Jolene, who is I love every character that every scene that she's in. She plays a pretty major role in this, and she's sort of the voice of reason, and she's the best friend we all wish we had. So we will see a lot of Jolene in this book.
So is it wise to go into business with your nemesis?
In this case, yes, but it'll keep you on your toes, that's for sure. And just to backtrack just a little bit, even though this is the 3rd book in the series, I write each book so that it can be read independently, and just in case you pick it up on its own. But I do think that for a series, you do enjoy reading from the first book, which is a good thing that both of the previous books, The Shop on Royal Street and The House in Britannia, they are currently in print and in paperback. So just saying.
Just saying, you pick them all up. Pick them all up. I'm sure there'll be a deal, or
there you go.
certainly some promotions on the old interwebs. I have to ask, going back to Diana Gabaldon, just having you being such a fan of hers and a fan of her writing kind of inspired you to kind of get into it. What was it like, sort of, interacting with her and, having her basically give you the nod saying, hey, you're good enough to do this.
Right. That was incredible. She's such a wonderful, kind, and generous person. That made it very, very easy. So I'd never met her in person before the book came out. And then a few years after the book had come out, she was at the Decatur Book Festival, and she was sitting by herself. I guess people are just totally in awe of her. You'll find that with like really famous. That's the best way to get to talk to somebody very famous is fine. I mean, I saw Harlan Coben once standing alone at a party, and I just went up and started talking to him. Now, granted, I didn't know who it was.
Which is a curse for many authors, I would say.
I know, right? Yeah. But Diana's sitting there by herself. So I was with my friend Wendy Wax, who's also an author, and we're like, That's Diana Gabaldon. Oh my gosh. We're trying not to fangirl. And I go and I sit down with her, and it was just so neat because she's just such a cool human. And I mentioned to her, I'm like, you probably don't remember me. And she says, no, I do remember. And she's like, it's good to see that your career is moving along. And it was just sort of, getting that little jolt of adrenaline and of approval from somebody you really admire is just very special.
Yeah. And that'll put a lot of wind in your sails. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to interview one of my heroes on this show, Robin Cook, who
oh my gosh, yeah.
I love a good medical drama.
Yeah, Coma. That was my first one.
Coma, I think, was my first one too. Is it Coma or Brain? I can't remember. It was on my grandfather was a physician. He had it on his bookshelf.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, that seems interesting. So I pick it up and read it, and lo and behold, I've read just about everything he's done.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here talking to him. And I'm like, I can't believe this is happening, number one. But he's so, people, I think, look, authors, it's not like talking to an actor who, the world sees and recognizes immediately.
Right.
You can be a little bit more incognito if you want to be. And I just find people being, number one, regardless of how famous you are, very generous with their time and just so generous to just provide advice and feedback to people. And,
I agree. Yeah.
It's why I love being part of this writing community. It's just just really, you meet some really good people, and that brings me to the importance of community in writing. How important is community for you, Karen?
It's amazing. Some of my best friends I have met since I started this writing career. I even write books with two of my dear writer friends, Lauren Willig and Beatrice Williams. And so we're very close, and it's exciting to be able to share this part of your world, because I still have, my friends from my pre-writing life, or, women that I grew up with, and, etc. But they don't understand, being a writer is such a different thing that a lot of people, unless you're, in the trenches, you don't understand it. So it's really cool to be surrounded by people who really get you, especially. And when my kids were little, I did seem to surround myself by female writers who are also raising small children, because that's a whole nother subset, a whole nother world, where, our husbands don't quite even understand it, because it's not a normal job. And but other mothers who are also writers totally got what I was going through. And likewise, yeah.
And it's, I know, and after talking to over 400 people on the show, the majority of whom are women, it's sort of taking time off of work when having their first oftentimes is the catalyst that gets them writing.
Right.
And, with some good fortune and of course talent, you're able to turn that into a career, which gives you, a little bit more flexibility than the old 9 to 5.
True. Although I will say that now that, my kids aren't home, my time management skills are in the toilet. I was much better when they were home, and my life was dictated by their schedules.
Yeah, they do.
Terrible.
When they leave the nest, it's hard. I had a hard time. So we have triplets, and
oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
They're 23, and they all went to college at the same time. So when that happened, it's like, what do we do with ourselves now? Like, how do I define who I am as a person? Because I was always the dad or the guy who would show up at, taking you from A to B or sports or whatever. And now it's like, I don't have that anymore. And I lost like a big part of my identity when that happened. And then they came home, and now they're all leaving again because they're moving into places like Manhattan. And
oh man, I know that's, yeah. And now I'm in that next phase. My daughter just had a baby, and my son is about to get married. It's like a whole, oh my gosh, now we won't even talk about social media and how that distracts as well. But, life is full of distractions, and it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder now. Indeed.
Well, I know that The Lady on Esplanade is coming out soon.
November 4th,
and
yes.
November 4th, available for pre-order now, no doubt.
Yes.
And I'm sure they can get it wherever books are sold.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then, Karen, are you active? I know you mentioned TikTok before, but are you active on TikTok or any other social media where people can learn more about you or follow you?
Yeah, so my TikTok aspirations are currently on hold. Just, I'm trying to deal with, one of life's major upsets at the moment. And, but I am very active on Instagram and Facebook. And as a matter of fact, if you want to see, a video of my dog going through physical therapy in a water tank, follow me on Instagram.
I mean, that sounds like a viral video to me.
It's ridiculous. It's just, yeah. The things you do for your dog. So
I know, but so we lost our dog back in March.
I'm sorry.
And
it's so hard.
I know. That's the thing. And my wife and the kids are on me to get another one. And I love dogs. I'm a dog person. Mm-hmm. But I know what's going to happen. So the kids are all moving out. So
yes.
Boom. There are 3 people who will not be helping. And,
exactly.
I've got this thing that I do in addition to writing where I have to, be away a lot. And so it's gonna come down to my wife to be the primary caretaker. And I think she wants to ease into retirement from responsibility. Right. So as much as she wants it, I think I'm looking out for her best interest when I keep saying no.
No, and you are 100% correct. Fortunately, my daughter has a puppy. I know my son wants to get one, so I can be, Sophie hopefully will be with me for a lot longer. But after, when she decides to cross the Rainbow Ridge Bridge, I will have grandpups. And that's about, and I could watch them, sporadically. Because my husband passed away in August, so I'm up against that right now with going on tour in November. It's like all of a sudden I have to think about, oh goodness, I've got a dog who's doing physical therapy and needs to have her knee massaged and iced and heated, twice a day. I'm like, who is going to do this? So it's a big step. It's having another living creature that you are responsible for. So, yeah, it's tough.
And one that gives you so much love unconditionally. Like you just feel bad if you can't just leave it with anybody. But
no, I'm not just going to board her. So I have a pretty intricate arrangement right now. My brother and his wife, and then my son and his fiance. That we're just kind of. And hopefully we don't have to board her at all because she needs that, she needs to have those massages and the heart medication and it's just a thing. So.
Does she have her own Instagram page or does she share yours?
She shares mine. And she, I told her she should have her own and she's like, she doesn't get paid enough for that. So. Plus, I've had to put her on a diet because of her knees, and she's just not speaking to me right now.
Oh, geez. Is there dog Ozempic or dog Wegovy that
because she needs it. She's actually part cat, and she hates to exercise and loves to eat. So it's a problem. It's a problem with most of the United States, and she's not exempt. So.
Right. Well, that's a bad combination. Loving to eat, heading to exercise.
She needs Pup-Zempic, I think is what they call it. Yeah. Yeah, and she needs a CPAP machine too because she snores so loudly. I have to wear earplugs because she's so loud.
My wife used to say that I snored, and which is probably true. But the dog, it didn't help that Murphy was a big snorer, and he always slept in our room. And she would always say to me, the minute you stop snoring, he starts. And then you guys start to alternate. And I'm like, well, which one of us do you want to get rid of? And I shouldn't have said that because I think he was a little bit higher on the list than I was. So, yeah. But
that's a great name for a dog. How old was he?
Murph.
I have to ask.
Murph was 11 or 12.
Okay.
He was
he a bigger dog?
He was he was a lab, a yellow lab. Aww. And it turns out he had a heart condition that we didn't know about. So poor big fella.
Well, I know.
Big fella.
Sophie needs knee surgery and they're like, well, she's got a heart murmur, but she's got a 90% chance of surviving the surgery. I'm like, No, that's 10% more than I can consider right now in my life, really ever. So let's do the physical therapy. So hence the water tank and the massages and the heat pads and the, yeah, physical therapy. It's hilarious.
Yeah. The things we do for our pets, though.
I know. They deserve it.
They do. They do. They give us so much. We deserve to give them all the pampering that we can, or, help, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Karen, I will be sure to put contact information to you for your Instagram, your Facebook, in our show notes. We will put links to the lady on Esplanade as well. And I will say thank you for stopping by, Uncorking a Story yet again, and letting me re-uncork yours.
Yes, thanks so much. It was a pleasure as always.
Thanks for listening to Uncorking a Story. If you'd like more information about today's guest or to find out more about Mike, go to uncorkingastory.com. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in every week to hear Mike Carlin uncork a new story.